Angel, hello.
Hey.
We're here with Angel Alzeidan. Am I saying it right?
That
Alzeidan?
was really good. Yeah, you said it with, like, the accent and everything. That was
Yeah,
perfect.
I have to throw the accent there sometimes.
That's great.
Yeah, we're here with Angel Alzeidan. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Well, thanks for, like, interviewing me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was thinking maybe we could start. Why don't you tell us who you are and what's bringing you joy these days? That's a question that when I teach sometimes I'll throw that at my students. I feel
Mhm.
like it's a good way to sort of give a sense of like where we're at in the moment.
I love that. Hi, my name is Angel Alzeidan or Alzeidan or however you wanna say that. I am a New York City-based actor, artist, activist. I'm a first-generation Syrian American. I'm queer. I hold all of those things very dearly in my heart. And yeah, that's what I do. That's who I am. That is a quick, brief summary on all of that. And what's bringing me joy these days? My friends are bringing me joy. My family is bringing me joy. Succession is really bringing me joy right now. I just started watching that. That's an incredible show.
You just
Um,
started. It is. What season are you on?
we just got to two.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, season 1 was crazy, season
Yeah.
2 is unhinged, and it's just getting worse. But I
Yeah.
feel like I have to be in the right, like, mental space to watch that show because it's kinda stressful at times, so maybe not that. I have a cat, and, she's my emotional support, human, I like to say. Yeah, she's the best. So those are some things that are bringing me joy right now.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, season three is a doozy. I'll say
Oh
that as
god,
before. So
don't tell me that.
prepare you there. I want to hear more about your journey as a performer, an actor, an artist. Would you say like acting, performing is your main medium of creative expression, or I know there are others that are maybe out there, but
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, actor is number 1. I guess within that, because I do musical theater, it's singing as well. I don't write my own music or anything, but I really, feel like, I use my voice when I am singing to, spread some type of message. Like I said, I'm an activist. I carry those 2 things, together. I think for me, they have to go together, just for who I am, in this world. But yeah, actor is mainly, you know.
Mhm. And what brought you to acting and theater? And I guess related to that, what brought you to activism, and where can you speak more about like that intersection and how they
Yeah,
relate?
yeah, 100%. Um I grew up singing in the church. I went to Catholic school my whole entire life. And in first grade, I had a music teacher who kind of figured out that I could sing. And I started like cantering in the church. And I was like one of the youngest people to ever do it. And so I found great joy in doing that. And I was severely bullied growing up. And so singing was kind of a way for me to escape, and it was kind of my outlet. And one day, my parents were like, "What are we going to do with her? Like, something's going on. We need to, find a hobby for her. She needs an outlet of some sort." And so they sent me to theater camp, and and the rest is history. I remember watching. There's like age groups in the camp, and I remember watching the older kids do West Side Story, and that changed my entire world. Watching that show, so that was the show that got me into theater. And I guess with activism, I mean, I feel like as a person of color, as a first generation Syrian American, um, there's a lot going on in our world right now, as we all know. Um, and I've always felt strongly on, I've always been into politics. I've always been into, policies that govern our world. Um, it's always intrigued me. And I also love sticking up for, um, people of minorities in any capacity. And I think it comes from like me being bullied growing up, especially being bullied like as a person of color. I was like, something's not right here. Something is off. So that's what got me into activism, truly. And shows like West Side Story, they touch on subjects um, and racism, and they bring an empathetic lens. So when people go and see these shows, they have one viewpoint on, this issue or that subject, and uh, shows like that can really change minds. And that's why when I audition for things or when I do shows, I really, I'm very picky, and I know that I'm young and I'm still in the beginning stages of my career, but I feel very strongly on doing things that have a purpose, have a message, um, that can change minds. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with all of that.
Yeah. Well, you're currently in a show with Power Street Theater, or rehearsing a show with Power Street,
Yeah,
um, Siluetas, that similar to West Side Story takes up a number of political topics,
yeah,
points of view. Um, you play Khalila, who
I do.
is a Syrian artist and activist, much like yourself. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little more about Siluetas? Tell us about Khalila. What does the show mean to you? What does playing her mean to you?
Mm. Ooh, okay. So I am actually going to read the quick synopsis that they have on the Power Suite website because it's just so perfectly laid out and said.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Why
so
reinvent the wheel, right?
yeah, so Siluetas tells the story of Dinora, a Cuban American immigrant, and Khalila, a Syrian refugee, who move in together amidst a charged 2016 presidential campaign, the lifting of the Cuban embargo, and the escalation of the Syrian civil war. It's a brand new trilingual musical celebrating forgiveness, radical love, and the true meaning of home. And that is perfectly said. And it
Mm,
doesn't give anything away, but it kind of gets to the point. Um, and yeah, I play Khalila, and it's been Siluetas was actually my first professional, job. 2021, I started working on the show, and I've been with it ever since. And it is, I am truly so incredibly blessed and grateful that I'm originating a Syrian person who is going through things that I go through in my everyday life. Um, and just like Khalila is a artist activist, and she holds those things so close to her heart, and that is the forefront of her identity in every capacity and everything that she does. It comes from a place of activism and trying to change things, and and I really really resonate with that because again, like that's, I wear that on my sleeve at all times. I try to implement change wherever I go. Um, in rooms that I'm in, I try to shake things up a little bit because our industry, like we have to. I grew up not seeing people like me on stage at all, and the closest representation I had to seeing myself on stage was Karen Olivo, KO, who was playing Dinora
mm,
um, in our production. And that was the closest thing I had to representation. And I looked at their career as something that I truly idolized. They are they enter rooms and they challenge rooms, and they have been a part of productions that are very, activist heavy. And uh, yeah, so that was my representation. And the fact that now I'm originating a role alongside someone that I had looked up to is truly mind blowing and crazy. And yeah, there are no words for what this show means to me and what this team means to me. Yeah, I'm truly truly blessed. It's yeah, yeah, no
mm.
words.
Yeah, I love that you brought up, because it seems to me, I haven't seen the show, but
Yeah.
from the Googling I've done, it seems to me that like a central part of the show is like this like cultural exchange, or this like building of bridges,
Yeah.
um, between a Cuban American and a Syrian refugee.
Yeah.
And I love that you said you found like a level of representation or something familiar in KO's
Yeah.
portrayal of Dinora.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a real thing. Like, I feel like I don't know if you know this, but I studied theater. Once upon a
Slay.
I was a theater person for a hot in my past life, I like to say.
Yeah.
Um, and, yeah, I remember I feel like my first moments as a theater person and also just, like, a young person,
Yeah.
a Lebanese American, um, my first moments of, like, yeah, like, seeing myself, like,
Mhm.
often weren't, like, Arab
No,
Americans,
no.
and we can unpack that if we want, but also it's like, I
Unpack it for real. Let's unpack that. Yeah.
well, why is it? Why do you think? Like
I the first time I saw myself somewhat represented in, let's say, a theatrical lens was the band's visit. And even then, the Arab people on stage for me were men. Um,
mhm,
and it was a changing point that I mean, seeing myself a bit in that show was I was like, "Wow, this is incredible." Like someone finally wrote some sort of story that is gearing towards my people and we have the music and the language. Um, but other than that, like I couldn't name you anything, especially in musical theater. I could not name you anything. We have West Side Story, we have In the Heights, we have Miss Saigon, we have all of these shows for different backgrounds, which is so incredible and which is so great, but where is that representation for us? It's not Aladdin, I'll tell you that. It is not that.
spoiler alert, it's not Aladdin.
It's not Aladdin. And so and I don't know what the reason is,
Mhm, mhm,
but I think it's so important that we do have stories like Siluetas because yes, like we have representation for the Arab community, but it's like a trilingual musical. It's melding different communities together. And just because we're all people of color, we still have different backgrounds, like different cultures and identities. We grew up differently. So coming into a room with other people of color, being an Arab person as well, like there is some level of understanding, but also learning
mhm,
between us. And I think there's something so beautiful of coming from different backgrounds and having a commonality. But I don't know why the fuck there
yeah,
isn't more. It's honestly crazy. And I think it's because um, you know, I just don't feel like people see us.
mhm,
Or if they see us in a specific lens, and that is not the story I wanna tell.
mhm,
I do not wanna be playing, a terrorist. I do not wanna be playing, the over sexualized, like, I don't that's not the story I wanna tell. Um,
mhm,
and so
mhm,
the fact that I'm, doing this and she just so happens to be Syrian and, Muslim and it's not really, I'm not playing something that's uh, what's the word? Like stereotypical is I think important. But yeah, I guess like society just views us a certain way and they run with that.
yeah, yeah, you're right, I like to always say, like, I feel like one of my professors was the first one who, like, introduced this dichotomy to me, and I think it's one that a lot of, like, minority groups fall into, but it's like, the dichotomy of, like, hyper visible versus invisible. I
Absolutely.
feel like Arabs in this country sort of either it's like a hyper visibility and there's like a perceived like racist, Islamophobic,
Yeah.
xenophobic danger,
Yeah.
to that, Arab culture or identity, or there's like an invisibility. It's like,
Hmm.
it's not thought of or but yeah, yeah, like I remember, but it is beautiful that those bridges can be built. Like I remember reading the work. I don't think I'm gonna say her name right, but Kiara Alegres Hudes. Um she wrote like the book for In the Heights, Water
Oh
by the Sea.
yes.
Definitely
Yes.
butchering her name.
Yeah.
And she's from Philly.
Yes,
Uh,
she is.
so yeah, like I remember reading Water by the Spoonful, seeing a production of it, and
Yeah.
there are those like cultural identifying markers, right? Like it's a different culture,
Yeah.
but we can sort of like maybe I like to think about the ways we can be mirrors for each other. I'm
100%.
curious, like Can you talk about more of your relationship to your culture and
Mm,
Syrian culture specifically, and maybe how that's changed throughout the years?
yeah. Ooh, that's a good one. Um, it's really interesting because I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I'm a proud first generation Syrian American. I'm 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 I I'm so proud of that, and that's how I represent now. But it wasn't always like that at all. Um,
Mm,
you know, I grew up in Cherville, Indiana, and that is white, white, white. And when you grow up like that and you don't have people who are like you around, you want to erase everything that um, makes you different. So, like in school, I would always say that I'm white, or I would straighten my
mm,
hair, or I wouldn't listen to Arabic music. Like if my mom was picking me up and she was blasting Arabic music, I would get so embarrassed. I would not speak Arabic around my friends to my parents. Like I tried so hard to erase everything that would make me different. And then I went to high school, and I went to high school in Chicago. And that was the first time I saw other people of color, and I was like, oh, I feel a certain way. I feel different. I feel like I can be more of myself. And just recently, I did a show last year called Lealina at the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and that is written by Martin Yusuf Zawadi. And it was a full, Arab, Middle Eastern cast and creative team. And that was the first uh, time where I actually fully embraced who I was. And that was only a year ago, which is kind of crazy. But my relationship with my culture has been so uh, tricky. But I think I'm I wouldn't want it any other way. You know,
mm, mm,
it's yeah, yeah, it's tough. I mean, as any Arab who grows up in this country, it's just it's tough, and you have
mm,
to grow up and look around and try to find a community that you can relate to, and when you do, it's when you can fully accept who you are. I guess, yeah.
mhm, mhm. On that, I'm curious, what is your relationship to community today? And you can take that as you will, like it can be related to the culture or not. But in general,
Yeah,
as a artist, activist, like that intersection, I think community is a word that gets thrown around a lot. And I
100%.
have thoughts about the word, but
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what's your relationship to it?
Community to me, for example, like my cast and creative team in Siluetas, I view them as my community, because community to me, they see me, they hear me, they listen to what I have to say. Um, and also, community to me, being an artist, activist, is bringing people along with me for the ride. I um, I never want to be the only one in the space, if that makes sense. And community to me means that if I am brought into whatever space, I'm bringing my people with me. And when I say my people, I do mean, Arab or people of color or queer. Uh, it's it's being that change and bringing people along with you for the ride.
Mm,
I think that's
mm,
what community is to me, and I feel very strongly about that.
mm.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, like keeping the door open.
yeah.
Um, cool, cool. So this interview is part of a series collaboration between Power Street Theater and El Bustan, which is where I work, by the way, where I'm
Woo!
zooming from. Yeah, this is our library. Come check us out, Lancaster Ave, in University City. Um,
Nice.
so to sort of nod towards Arab American Heritage Month, which we have been nodding, I think, but
Yes.
I'm curious, like, what is on your mind this Arab American Heritage Month, and what do you think should be on other people's minds? We talked about your relationship to culture. We talked about, the particular subjectivities of being Arab American, but is there something particular that's been on your mind that you maybe want to share or talk through?
Yeah. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. Ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. That has been on my mind not just this month. It's been on my mind every single day. Um, and I guess my message is to look after your Palestinian friends, look after your Middle Eastern friends, ask them if they're okay, ask them what you can do, because we're not okay right now. We feel pretty helpless. Uh, yeah, that's what's on my mind. It's
Mm,
and it shouldn't just be Arab and Middle Eastern people doing the work to get to that point. It's everyone else around us. Um, and it's exhausting trying to explain that, but it's free Palestine till the day that I die, truly. That's how I
mm,
feel right now. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. Can we sort of maybe end I have one more question, but then can we maybe end going back to, like, the relationship between art and activism? Like, a
Yeah.
piece of art that you've engaged with lately that you feel like I'm like, can art play a role in the liberation of the Palestinian people? I think maybe that's one thing that's on my mind. And,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
in what
Yeah.
ways, like, what does our art have to do to help, like, foster the world in which we can see a free Palestine?
Wow.
Good
Wow.
questions, I know, but
Wow.
answer it however you want. It can be like if you've seen a piece of art that you feel like engages with liberation in a way, you can talk about that or
That's so interesting. I actually, um, there have been uh, TikTok videos, and they're of these, Palestinian artists, Arab artists who, sing or they have poems. And I think there is something so beautiful of showcasing that through their Arab Palestinian lens, um, and trying to explain to others what it's like being us right now. But I think art what art can do is because there's so many stereotypes right now. There's so many uh, ideas of what the Palestinian people are and what they're like. And I think what art can do is empathize and truly break down what's actually happening. Um, and I think change comes from empathy. If you can look at another, or if you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and go from there and try to empathize with what's going on, that's what um, motivates change, in my opinion. And that's what art does. It puts a story, it puts an idea, and it challenges it. And I think that's what needs to happen now. And even if you come see Siluetas, not saying it's, talking about the experiences of what's happening in Palestine, but like with Islamophobia, it's at a all-time high right now in the United States, and it really breaks that down. And so many people have so many different ideas of what it means to be Muslim in this country and wherever, and it really challenges that and makes you look in the mirror and break down the biases that you have towards those people. And I think that's really important. um yeah, wow, that's a that's a hard-hitting question.
yeah, thank you for being a sport about it. I think that was a hard-hitting answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, okay, my last question in the spirit of power talks is Angel, when do you feel most powerful?
mm. I feel the most powerful when uh I am completely and authentically myself.
Mm,
um there is something so powerful of not um putting on some sort of act or mask or trying to conform to what the society tells you that you have to be. And I try to the best of my ability to just be myself, um, and embracing every part of myself and not dulling myself down to make other people feel comfortable. So, yeah,
mm,
when I'm most myself and I feel the most powerful for sure.
mhm. Yeah, I feel like reaching that, like, true, like, authentic,
Yeah.
genuine place, like, I feel like most of us are, like maybe not most of us, but some of us are, like, authentic day to day, but, like, yeah, truly, like you were describing it, like, uninhibited authenticity. That is powerful.
It is so powerful, and it's powerful because sometimes people fear it, and when
Yeah,
they fear
yeah,
it, um, that's yeah, yeah, I
mhm.
love it, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's like, why do they fear
Why
it?
do they fear it? Why do they fear that I'm bringing my whole self to something or I'm truly myself? And I think
Mhm,
that has a lot to say, like, what our society expects of everyone. And
mhm,
when you challenge that by being fully yourself, it's fearful,
yeah,
in the most powerful way, you know? Yeah.
mm, yeah.